everyone. Welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and bad lies are punished. But will we catch the lies? This is What's the Fact.
You ain't going to catch my lies because I've changed strategy because I'm no longer a liar. So even if you think I'm lying, maybe I'm not.
Well, that'll make a pleasant change.
Welcome to the show. I'm Ryan Whittle. This is Warren Robertson, and we are delighted to have you join us.
We are.
And Matt's sitting in the little black box having a look at the show from his little black box. We don't know what he's doing in there.
You may have noticed recently that we've started taking this thing slightly more seriously because actually, I mean, we should. You know, the thing is that that we've got all of you guys who are watching this thing or listening to it, and we're very, very grateful for each and every single one of you. And we're going to demand that you please click like and subscribe and share and stuff, because now we care about that stuff.
Yes.
We care about that stuff. It's not just us sitting here having beers and talking about facts anymore. This is now a powerful business growing into a giant multinational conglomerate that one day, by 2150, will have taken over the world and have a flying island above the planet.
Do you think?
But let's not.
Do you think you, Dietz, and Matt can pay me a salary one day instead of taking all money yourself?
No. But we will send a shuttle for you, your little house in the landfill, when we want to shuttle you up to film the podcast up in our island. Anyway, let's. I don't know why I'm talking about islands, but I suppose.
Well, islands are nice, but today's topic is, I really like today's topic.
Okay.
I think I might have mentioned that to you before, but I love it. I love rivers. I just think they're incredible because it's like we need water and hey, there's this thing flowing past with the very thing we need, but they start somewhere. This is what I love. They start somewhere, and that's always a bit of a mystery. We know where they end, usually in the ocean, but they have weird origins, and that's one of my facts coming up later as well.
You've got a real kind of ancient Iron Age type view of what a river is. You're just like, oh, it's just here by my house. I was born here. I will die in this village, and the river is here, and I don't know where it starts, and I don't know where it ends, but it's here right by my house. But now we know, for the most part, we've tracked a lot of the rivers.
Sure.
I mean, I say a lot, but we haven't necessarily tracked all of them, but we've tracked a lot of the rivers. We
know,
for
sure.
You know, I mean, obviously there's that classic story about, the Nile and finding the source of the Nile. And then there's, the Amazon as well. They wanted to know where was the source of the Amazon? Where did it lead?
Yeah.
So these have been big stories for explorers throughout history.
Yeah. And our whole country, you drive everywhere, there's a something fontaine. And I think was the original meaning of that was a spring of sorts? Was it a spring?
I think so. I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, imagine you're exploring and you've just got your wagon and you're thirsty and you stumble upon a spring. That's a wonderful thing.
It is. But the thing is that they have been marching for days and days and days, eating nothing but biltong by the sound of these things. And then
lucky buggers.
Yeah, and then they come across a river, and then you find that half of the rivers in South Africa, I'm making up the number half.
Yeah.
But they're called the Sand River. That must be heartbreaking. You show up and you say, more sand.
But that's also what fascinates me about rivers. We'll get into some facts soon, but I just love the thing that fascinates me is when you get a big river flowing through a desert. So it must be the oddest thing to have harsh terrain with a big river flowing through. And I don't know if I've seen
specifically about the Nile
in my eyes. Yeah, I don't think in my own eyes if I've seen an example of that with my own eyes. Like even driving in the Karoo from Joburg to Cape Town. It is, isn't it? So I've driven over it.
It's pretty arid.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty arid out there. One of the big things was in South African history was the damming at the Gariep and the other one of the Orange River to try and create agricultural opportunities. There's debates about whether that worked beneficially for the local populace or whatever, but there's no doubt that it certainly made the Orange River more useful than it used to be.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, one of the things, rivers, while I was looking at this as a topic, I wasn't sure whether we were including these things. Like, for instance, on Saturn's moon Titan, there's a river that flows just made up of liquid methane.
That is mad.
So does that count?
I say yes.
Our rivers, towards our rivers.
Do you think there's a methane fountain, a methane spring?
Yeah.
There's a source of methane.
Yeah, exactly. Liquid methane is running out of the ground there. It must smell pretty great. Anyway, is it your turn to go first?
I'm super ready to start.
First.
And of course, I'll start as always with 80s music and a band you saw at the Rand Easter show, because I listen when you speak, Remember
Duran
them?
Duran.
Yeah, and their song.
Oh,
her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand. And they, of course, they're singing about the Rio Grande and a girl who dances next to it, probably. But the Rio Grande, what an important river it is. Donald Trump didn't want you to necessarily see it because he wants to build a wall next to it. But hey, and I say that because it forms the border between. It forms the border between states 5 times. That's my facts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It forms the border between states 5 times. How much do you know about the Rio Grande?
Yeah, not all that much. I'll be honest.
Duran. I did know that it was at some point the river between the US and Mexico. I knew that.
That's what I thought it was. But then you're saying it actually at various points breaks.
Yes.
Or you're saying it crosses the border between
It
states.
actually forms the border. It's not the entire length of that border, but at some point the Rio Grande is a bit of the border between states. 5 times, in fact.
I'm trying to think what the states are down there. New Mexico, Nevada, California, Texas.
Yeah. Pretty good. Talking about rivers that flow through sort of deserty kind of places, I can give you a little thing about the Rio Grande. It flows through the middle of one of the favorite series that you've ever watched. There were 5 seasons.
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Yes, takes
New
place
Mexico,
in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they call in ABQ or something? Yeah, it flows through ABQ,
right,
the Rio Grande.
Is the Rio Grande the river that flows through the Grand Canyon?
I don't think so. No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I do know it starts in Colorado. I'll give you that little fact.
Yeah, I was trying to work out with it.
Its source is in Colorado. That's very mountainy, hey? Denver. Oh, yeah. Denver, Colorado. Aspen. Isn't Aspen in Colorado? Skiing.
Yeah.
Aspen, yeah.
The Rockies are in Colorado.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Rocky
Mountains, it starts there.
The Rockies go all the way up north to South in America, but I'm just trying to wonder how long this thing is. Does it include, say, Utah? Is it also I would like to see an American name some South African provinces, please.
They got some nice names there.
Yeah. But ours are easy. They like South Africa ourselves.
Yes.
It's easy to find us because we're South Africa, right? Yeah. A lot of our provinces are very similar. They're kind of like, north this and west this and east that. And yeah. So maybe Americans could guess some of our provinces. But I was just sitting here thinking, I just rattled off like 6 provinces from the southwestern side of America. We've only got 9 Americans. Name 2. Put them in the comments without Googling, you lousy cheats. To be fair, we don't have a Breaking Bad to teach them about our New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Let's say it goes 5 borders.
Well, I've started off with a truism. You're absolutely right. 5 borders. But where I got tricky was when I said states. So it's actually Mexico also has states. So it forms a border between Texas and 4 Mexican states. And they are Chihuahua, Coahuila, Nuevo Leon, and Tamaulipas. That's 4. Texas and those 4 Mexican states. But at some point, just for a short section, it also is the border between New Mexico and Texas. So the Rio Grande starts in Colorado, in the state of Colorado, mountains there, and then it just hits New Mexico, flows right through New Mexico, and I think it sort of would bypass Texas and then becomes the border between Texas and New Mexico. So it really just touches 3 American states. But it's a very long river. Very long river.
My favorite thing about that was when you said Tamaulipas. It's like somebody named an entire province after a food. It's like we had Western Braaifontein.
And Chihuahua is a state. That's cool. And it's a state.
Yeah, but I think the dog was named after the area rather than the other way around. And I'm pretty sure it's true of Tamaulipas as well. Almost certain tamales will come from Tamaulipas as opposed to the other way around. Like, oh, we make this food. Let's name the whole area after this food.
Is it a type of burrito type thing?
Yeah.
Is it a mini burrito?
Now you're getting too specific. You're going to make me look stupid. I don't know specifically what a tamale is.
You see, in South Africa, our exposure to sort of call it Mediterranean or Hispanic or Latin American foods was a bit sparse. We had a big Portuguese community in this country,
big
which
Greek
is why
community,
and Italian, Portuguese, Greek, Italian, but not so much Spanish, not so much Mexican or South American. So we know the Nando's, man.
No, but so even now, our Mexican food that you can get here is sort of American Mexican, but it's not really even American Mexican. It's this kind of not even a Tex-Mex stuff, you know. It's just some kind of unique, but it's this unique South African kind of creation that we call Mexican food. It's not really Mexican food. Apart from the tequila, obviously.
It's a pity because I heard they got amazing cuisine.
I know. This is what I've heard as well. Anyway, you started with a song. I mean,
yes,
didn't really. You started with a river that you alluded to with a song. But I'll start with a song. And I'm going to start with a song called River by Joni Mitchell. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking song. It's written at Christmas time and uses the Jingle Bells kind of theme tune to build the song where she talks about how she's breaking up with this guy who she actually really loves. And it's been covered by, basically everyone. It's pretty much of a standard. It was covered by Sarah McLachlan and Olivia Rodrigo and Barry Manilow and Ellie Goulding, and even CeeLo Green did a cover, so it's a lot of people have covered this particular song. My fact about it is that it does have a music video, but that music video came out 50 years after the song itself.
All right. The song's called River.
Yeah, by Joni Mitchell. It's on her Blue album.
Is there a reason it's called is there an actual river in the song? And is there a reason the song's called River? Did she break up with him next to the river?
She says
an actual river?
She says, I wish there was a river that I could sail away on.
Oh.
Yeah. But she's the lyrics are kind of heartbreaking. So if you've seen Love Actually.
Have I seen it?
So Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson in that movie they play a couple who Love Actually is basically it's a series of short vignettes of all kind of mixed together stories of different people living in London and how love sort of impacts their lives. And Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson play this couple who he's having an affair, and she's a massive Joni Mitchell fan, and he buys jewelry and she finds it in his coat pocket and she kind of closes it and she's excited and whatever. And then on Christmas Day, she opens up the box that she thought was going to be the jewelry, but it's in fact Joni Mitchell's Blue album. And she works out that he's cheating on her based on that. And then the song that's playing at that point where she's listening to the album and crying over her broken marriage is River, because it's about how selfish she is and how self-involved she is and how she's made like this amazing person cry, and how she's gone and lost the best partner she may ever have had. So it's a bit of a heartbreaking song, but
I've only discovered Joni Mitchell recently via TikTok.
Really?
A girl doing a cover to camera of both sides now. And I was like, what a song. And then I realized I had heard it maybe somewhere before, but what a glorious song. So I'm keen to listen to The River, which I'll do after this podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're saying music video?
It does have a music video. It came out 50 years after the initial song was released.
I could believe it. I could, because music videos were these weird things that started in the 70s, but really went berserk in the 80s with MTV. But basically, music videos were just Elvis and the Beatles making movies, really, to punt their albums, which is odd. The Monkees as well.
Yeah. No,
so I'm happy to go with yes. You're telling a very interesting truism here. Yes.
Yeah, it is true. The director Melvie Rezanoff made it in 2021 using watercolor to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the album's release in 1971. So,
wow.
can you believe it? 1971 to 2021, 50 years.
Wow, man.
It makes me feel a little bit old.
Yeah.
Because
I think all sorts of wonderful genres of music are making a comeback. Folk is such a beautiful genre of music. I mean, you heard The Risk of Dating Things. We had the recent passing of a folk music legend, Rodriguez. You got to watch Searching for Sugar Man. Yeah, Searching for Sugar Man. Because the thing about folk is they're not scared of despair. They'll sing about despair, and it's a thing that people don't want to go to. It's a sad emotion, but they sing about despair.
Well, it's one of the things. I think there's even been podcasts about it, that America is divided north to south.
Yeah.
In the north, they love their rock music, and the lyrics must be about nothing. And in the south, they like the country music, and the country music must be about real issues and heartbreak and must have meaning. And folk has somehow sort of crossed that little boundary. It sort of exists in that middle ground between the two. Anyway,
that's
so
a
there you are.
Beautiful thing. Yeah. It's like a river of music flowing between the two rivers.
Nice, bringing it back to the theme there. Very professional.
Well, that beautiful musical number. There isn't really a link. You said a lovely song. There's another lovely song, Shosholoza, right? And it's sung at stadiums when we win World Cups, you know? Like the one stadium it was sung when we won the World Cup in 1995. And that was a beautiful stadium called Ellis Park. It birthed South Africa's glorious World Cup rugby winning victory with Nelson Mandela present, wearing the Springbok jersey. What an epic day. But it also, here's my fact, birthed a river.
When they sang it at the final?
No. The territory on which it is built birthed a river.
Oh, so what you're saying is when Ellis Park was built, the Braamfontein-Spruit, which is the one that runs underneath Johannesburg.
Yeah, what I'll say is where Ellis Park is today was the source of a river.
Ooh,
see now,
I don't think that's true. And I don't think it's the source of the river. I do believe it could be running under there somewhere. But as far as I'm aware, the source of the river is kind of southeast of Johannesburg. And the river you talk about, I think, is the Braamfontein-Spruit. If I've got this perfectly correct. So the Braamfontein-Spruit does run. I mean, it's one of those interesting things that, much like much of London, Johannesburg really kind of built itself over the Braamfontein-Spruit. and the river now runs literally underneath the city.
Yeah.
For a lot of it. And then I think it comes out Emmarentia Dam.
Yeah, I was going to say, exactly, yeah. Have you done the Melville Koppies a little bit? Runs a little bit.
Yeah, so I think it's Emmarentia Dam and then Zoo Lake even, I think.
Maybe even Westine. Which river does the Westine Dam happen?
So the only other one that runs through Joburg is the Yuxke River, which is the one that runs essentially right down the center, up north past Fourways and Douglasdale but at the same time, the Braamfontein
past Al Prodger's house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And at the same time, the Braamfontein-Spruit is wending its way in similar direction. Now, Bez Valley.
You see how they say.
You see, Bez Valley, I'm pretty sure that there's a big lake that's fed by the Braamfontein-Spruit, or at least there was even in Bez Valley.
Wemmerpan is not, it's just next to Bez Valley. Wemmerpan?
I think Wemmerpan's the other side of the catchment. I think it's the other side of the little range that divides the city. I think it's a different stream entirely. So I think the Braamfontein-Spruit starts southeasty, sort of Bez Valley-ish sort of an area, and I don't think, because Ellis Park is.
I can't hide my smile. I'm so sorry. I'm enjoying this so much.
Ellis Park is.
I'm enjoying your intellectual.
Ellis Park is more central.
Hopscotch.
Right? Yeah, Ellis Park is more central. So no, it didn't burst. It's not on the source of the Braamfontein-Spruit, is what I'm saying.
This is so wonderful. Okay. All right. Shoo. Well, I'm telling the truth, man, and it's not the Braamfontein-Spruit.
Oh, is it not?
Straight. The the Straits of Braamfontein. No. It's not the Braamfontein Strait. It's the bloody Yixkay.
Oh, is it?
It started in the Doornfontein farm in a little spring. Okay. So it literally began where Ellis Park is today. This is a little fact. I'd like to give you some information of what I think is the saddest, dumbest river in the world, the Yixkay. It's sad and dumb. It's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. Most cities have a powerful river running next to them. Our Yixkay, it's really our mighty Yixkay.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad. Here are some actual facts about the Yixkay. It begins in Ellis Park in Johannesburg, but it's been built over. Its original spring was on the former Doornfontein farm, measured at 18,000 liters per hour, but has since disappeared under subsequent urban development. Now, the first surface expression of the Yixkay is in Bertram's at the intersection of Queen Street and Sports Avenue, where it emerges from a storm drain. I just find that so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I read an article once.
You can see it. It's there today. You can go to the map. You can go to the corner of Queens and in Bertram's, Queens and Sports Avenue, and there's a drain. And that's the start of the Yixkay.
Yeah, as I say, London is full of that. London's full of these drains that, these like rivers have vanished. And there'll be a bit where you're like, oh, if you're passing over the street, look behind you and you can see a tiny bit of a stream as it emerges from a stormwater drain. And that used to be this great river. This like incredible thing. And we've done the same thing. But the Yixkay is insane because it goes into Dainfern eventually, and it gets fenced off in Dainfern. Yes,
I can tell you the it's a little journey. So it starts there in Queen Street, Sports Avenue. It emerges from a storm drain. From there, the river flows through Bezuidenhout Valley, Valley.
So
and
I just had the river's confused.
Yeah, it then meanders in a northerly direction through Bedford View and Edenvale before flowing through Alexander Township. It then turns northwest and flows through Modderfontein, not really a tiny bit. There's a little part of Modderfontein called Yixkay View. I mean, stop it! Stop giving credit to this river. It's hardly a bloody river. You can't call it a big river if you can step over it. It's not okay. I'm being mean about the Yixkay, but it's ridiculous.
The thing is that the Yixkay has since been filled with rugby tickets by irate white racists. Whenever anything upsets them, they throw their stuff in the Yixkay.
So where was I? I was just Alex, Modderfontein, I was there. Then it goes Buccleuch, that's the interchange, Leeuwkop Prison, Lone Hill, Dainfern, Steyn City. Now it starts gaining some momentum before joining passes Lanseria and then joins the Crocodile River. But by then it's actually a cool little bit of flowing water. It's a sad river because a lot of pollution, and then it floods on the banks it floods its banks near Alex, and every year there's just residential chaos in Alex because of that, and that's very, very sad. And they've always traditionally thought it. I can't stand this phrase, but when Northern Transvaal used to play Transvaal, or when the Bulls play the Lions, SuperSport still calls it the Trans-Yixkay Derby. I mean, don't call it that. Call it the N3. That's something to be proud of. The Trans N3 Derby. Don't call it the Yixkay. It's just a silly little thing.
I'm trying to think, how does it get from Modderfontein to Douglasdale?
Oh, is it the Yixkay or is it another spray?
I'll tell you how I know this. The entire suburb is called Yixkay Park.
And another reason is the name. Oh, my irritation at the names of rivers spills over into my next fact as well. So we'll
just make you right.
But Yixkay, so obviously the river's named after the sport. And it's really a sport
which
that
involves
doesn't
the throwing of
a pin.
Yeah.
The South African version, I think, was the precursor to what the Americans did with the horse hooves and the stick. Right. We had an oxen yoke thing and threw it at a stump. It's frightening. And I've got to tell you this story, if you don't mind.
But please do.
We had, Generation Game ran for many years in the UK. It was an institution, their game show on a Saturday night, family game show. one family of 2 generations plays against another family of 2 generations. So we did a few versions in South Africa, Gen Game. Urban Brew produced it. And then we're trying to make it as African and South African as possible. And so the challenges are often brought in by experts. They demonstrate a little game or a little demo, and then the contestants have to do what the expert did. On your mark, said go, and it's fun. The classic one, which both countries did, was like a spinning wheel, clay making pot stuff. But we once thought, Yikskay, South African, lovely. Let's play Yikskay in the studio. And we bring in the expert. She was the 14-year-old Germiston champion, and she was the best in the country at under 14 Yikskay. But when we looked at the measurements, the studio wasn't big enough to have the full Yikskay thing, so we shortened it by half so that it fitted into our set and stuff. And so, as part of the demo, she lines up with this. It's a really heavy thing, the traditional thing. It looks like a pizza making thing. And she's getting ready to try and knock over the little stump. That's all you got to do. So
she has to shove a thing at the
throw it at the stump.
Okay.
But the way it lands and the angle, the points are complicated like lawn bowls. It's mad. Okay, so she's like, but we've said, sorry, we had to make it shorter. Okay, that's fine. I'll try. But I'm used to throwing it 14 meters, not 7. Okay, we'll try. But this thing is heavy. It's solid wood. It's fucking heavy. And she's 1, 2, and she releases it. And it missed the camera and the cameraman by that. It would have absolutely destroyed that 150,000 Rand camera, and it would have fucking killed that cameraman. Oh, sorry. And we just all went white. We have a slight, on the day, making a game show, all smiles, and we didn't really think this through, and we had a bit of a problem. So that's Yikskay.
You should definitely have gone with bokdrolspoeg.
Yeah.
Bokdrolspoeg.
That little 14-year-old, hello, okay, I'll throw the, okay. Or the skate. I'll throw the skate. One.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and then she and this thing nearly fucking killed a dude.
I almost died in a car accident once, but that guy gets to tell a much more interesting story. 14-year-old almost killed me with a...
Jesus, it would have smashed that lens. It would have hit that thing fucked up.
I'm also going to talk about a South African river, but a totally different one. I'm going to give you the fact first. At the end of the Mutale River in Limpopo, or Limpopo, depending on where in the country you're from, South Africa has a mystical lake. That for many years in the past demanded annual human sacrifices.
Is that your fact? Oh, golly. Mutale River, the end is a mystical lake that demanded annual human sacrifice.
For many years in the past, people used to sacrifice virgins there.
Like dead, eh?
Like sacrifice them dead?
Make them dead.
Yeah, that's what sacrifice means.
Yeah. That's not funny. Virgin girl or boy, doesn't matter.
No, I believe it was virgin maidens.
What about Bob Oak, the Oak at the pub? No,
I think it was virgin maidens.
Bob's virgin. He's never... Bob, when last did you ever... Hey, Bob. Nah, fuck the fucks.
No, not that guy. That guy. The lake is uninterested in that guy. As are most like volcanoes. They don't want that guy. They don't want incels. They want young women. And this lake demanded the same.
Okay, I know nothing about this except I know. And I hope this is not offensive bringing it up, but I know about the Rain Queen and Queen Mujaji. It's just because it's the area, about that myth.
Right.
There's a Rain Queen, a Mujaji, and there's a lot of traditional ritualistic things which happen to ensure that there's rain. She's much respected and all of that. And Limpopo, Venda, similar area. But this river, in a lake, human sacrifice... I'd have to say no, hey. I just watched Shaka Zulu. Look, there was a bit of that going on. But
also human sacrifice.
Yeah. Could we pause? No, not pause. Sorry. I thought this was a phone call coming through. It's not. It's just a little reminder.
We're very professional here.
tosspot
Very
I am.
professional. Like, click, subscribe, share with your friends, please.
I'd have to say no. So that Shaka Zulu went a bit power nuts, and there was a bit of
Natal. I don't know why you talk about
human
that.
sacrifice, but the culture.
Are you saying it wasn't part of the culture?
Yeah, and so Venda, I'm gonna have to say no human sacrifice. No.
All right.
You're lying.
Well, there is a lake there. It's
Okay.
called Lake Fundudzi. It's fed actually by two rivers, the Godoni and the Mutali rivers.
Okay, and this is in South Africa,
it's
in
Limpopo
South Africa. Province.
Yeah, it's in Limpopo. There are some people that say it's South Africa's only natural lake, but obviously Lake Sibaya in Isimangaliso Wetland Park is a natural lake and is considered South Africa's biggest natural lake. So I don't know where that sort of odd fact about it comes from. But there aren't many. The truth is South Africa doesn't have many natural lakes.
No.
But it's a natural lake at the end of these two rivers. Interestingly, there's no obvious flow for this particular lake. The rivers run in and then there's the lake. Now there's a legend that a giant python god of fertility lives in the lake and demanded the sacrifice of maidens each year, which for a very long time took place.
Jeez.
There's a white crocodile that lives in the lake, and it's specifically there to protect the spirits of the ancestors who've died and who live in the forest around in the surrounding area. It's an incredibly sacred place, and these days instead of sacrificing maidens, they do a dance in which young maidens do this like python style wriggling, swaying dance. And the place is still like you can go and visit it, but you shouldn't. People don't go there to bathe. They don't go and draw water there. They don't do anything.
Sure.
It's very sacred, and you don't want to piss off the ancestors who live in that particular area. So I mean, there's a story that the crocodile hasn't been seen in ages, right? The crocodile's this big white crocodile is supposed to be there, but whenever a Venda king dies, they're buried in the sacred forest next to the lake.
Sure.
And then that's when the crocodile comes to shore, and it's supposed to cough up a stone, which the new Venda king then has to swallow.
Jeez.
As part of the whole
kind
of tradition of the thing.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of stories to it. This lake. There's a story of a long time ago, a leper came to a village in the area. And he was turned away, and out of punishment, the python god sank the village, and it's now underneath the water in the lake. And so if you're there on the banks of the lake, and if you're lucky, you can still hear the deceased people of that village singing and banging their drums. So it's a haunted lake as well. But yeah, so we've got this
wow.
incredibly spiritual, ancient, mystical lake.
And more or less the nearest town or anything like that? And does this river feed does it flow into the Limpopo? Well,
no.
ends in a lake.
End in this lake.
So that's the definition of a lake, eh?
No, well,
it's an inland ending point.
No. So water can flow out of a lake.
Oh, okay.
No problem. It's
just a natural dam.
Yeah, and it will be flowing out somewhere, but the likelihood is it's sinking down and it's flowing underground for a great distance before emerging elsewhere. But there's no obvious outflow of this particular lake there. Yeah.
Shit, eh?
But there you are, yeah. So Limpopo.
That's a great, interesting fact. Makes you want to go there.
It does, doesn't it? But apparently, officially, you should ask permission of local leaders. And there's some sources that say that if you do approach the lake, you've got to turn around and then bend down and put your head between your legs and look at the lake like that first before you actually go and approach it. Though I'm not sure whether that's a real thing or just a thing they tell white people. I'm not 100%. Like it smacks to me. Like when you see the photos of all the white people doing it, you think to yourself, I would do that to people. I would tell them that was a tradition.
Man. Well, you spoke about a South African river with a lovely name. And my outrage at the Four Trackers and their lazy namings continues in this next fact. And my fact here, and the whole thing is my fact, but there are 3 Moy rivers in this country.
Yeah, and like
One
50
is in-
sand rivers.
One is in KZN, one is in Potch, and one is in Vereeniging as part of the 3 rivers in the suburb 3 rivers.
So you're saying Vereeniging,
Yes.
KZN.
Yes.
Is that where the town of Moy River is? In KZN. Okay. And the other one is
Potchefstroom.
So-
northwest.
so you're saying the Potchefstroom Van der Bijl one, they aren't the same.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're different.
You're saying that those are 2 separate
Like,
rivers.
part of my lie
Maybe they
could be
thought
that
of-
the
maybe-
one from Potch flows all the way to the KZN. I mean, that could be one of the lies,
Mm-mm.
but I mean,
No, I doubt it. But I do think it's possible that people did think the 2 parts in the northwest there, because that's a similar. It was Van der Bijl. You said, or was it Veltevreden?
Vereeniging.
Vereeniging.
So
and-
one of the suburbs in Vereeniging is called 3 Rivers, and I'm saying one of the rivers in the 3 Rivers is the Moy River. So there's a V-Town Moy River, there is a Potchefstroom Moy River,
Potchefstroom.
and there is a KZN Moy River.
But it's possible that the V-Town Moy River and the Potchefstroom Moy River, people could have assumed they were the same river, and now it turns out they're not.
See what you're saying?
It's possible.
See what you're saying?
Assuming there are these 3
Yeah.
rivers. I know
there
there's a
are-
town called Moy River, and I just don't know where it is. I can't remember. I think it's in KwaZulu-Natal. Isn't it one of the toll gates? Isn't there a toll gate called the Moy River Plaza or something? Yeah, because Moy means beautiful, right?
I know.
But we have to explain. Moy means beautiful, like you
It's
call a
nice
lady
river.
that. Yeah.
Ja, mooi. So nice.
Ach, sy's mooi, man.
Nice. But I mean, my word. Firstly, I don't know if they were that nice. And secondly, can you not call it something? Can you not think of something
Listen, when
else?
you've passed 5 rivers
Is
and
that
they've all been
enough,
sand
eh?
rivers, and this one's finally got water in it,
Water.
it's a fucking
Fucking
mooi
mooi.
rivier. You know? Like, you're like, oh my god, this has actually got water in it. That's amazing. Well, how beautiful is this? So yeah, why not? I think we could have 3 rivers called Mooi Rivier.
Okay.
Maybe there's vastly more. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's coming down to, but I'm going to say 3.
I did a wonderful technical Ryanism just to nail you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I want to say that actually the fact is technically false. Okay. It's true that there are 3 Moy rivers in South Africa. It's the KZN one, quite right. At the town Moy River is where it flows through, and it is in KZN. It's where the toll plaza is on the N3 going to Durbs, and that eventually flows into the Indian Ocean, joins some other river, something like that. Then there is, quite proudly, one that starts in a northwest town called Koster, flows around Potch, Klerksdorp, Stilfontein, joins the Vaal River, and that's the Moy River. The other one is sadly not one of the 3 rivers in V-Town. That's the Vaal River is one of the 3 rivers. 3 Rivers is a big suburb in Vereeniging.
Very
but
exciting,
the-
I'm sure, for people in Vereeniging.
Yeah, it's the Klip River and the Sugar Bush.
Klip Rivier is another one where we've got like 5 or 6 of them. You know, if it wasn't full of sand, it was full of fucking rocks.
To me, one of the funniest things is apparently there's a place in obviously England called Henley on Thames. And then we have our Klip River, and then they thought Henley on Klip. It's just stop it. I think they were pissed when some British people thought, oh, a lovely bit of land, yeah, let's have a farm. It's like the Thames. We've got a river.
Is that near Walkerville? There
Yes.
somewhere? Yeah, because it's very
Yes,
English.
It's
kind
very
of
close
bizarre.
to V-Town because it's the Klip River and the Sugar Bush, and the Vaal. So in that area of 3 rivers, at some point you've got 3 rivers, even
none of
in your suburb. Yeah,
Just none of them are called the Moy River.
no, that's in the Eastern Cape. But the other factor, yes, the Moy River again. It's the one in Potch, because I went to Potch Boys. Similar to the Yixkay, really, there's nothing to be proud of. It's a little flowing, it's silly. But this is an ungoogleable fact. It's an
Another one of these.
chat to GPT fact. You can't, but I'm telling you now, I remember. It's one of those Mr. Diache and that poem, Anna Tamati Plant facts, okay? Please, I need your help in the comments. But almost every Afrikaans high school in Potchefstroom, because they sing their school songs at the Atletiksdag, okay? And they all mention the mooi rivier in like the opening 2 lines. Van die mooi rivier. It's part of their anthem, and it's part of their psyche, and it's part of everything. They all mention the.
But
Potch-
what else? What else is there to say? What else would you say about Potchefstroom? Really?
know. Look, I in looking at the Mooi Rivier, Potch was it was the first European settlement, like that side of the Vaal River. Like that was the first European settlement. Potch.
So where is the Potchefstroom? Because Stroom is stream,
exactly.
right?
I think it is. I think it must be the Mooi River.
Is there a Potchef?
Well, no, it's Hendrik Potgieter. That's where the pot comes from. So
it's not Potchef.
Port Shefston.
Potchefstroom.
It's the port on the riverbank. No, it's not that kind of. No, it's like, okay, it's so tiny, but why? Okay, it's fresh water. I get it, foot trackers. That's great. Your cattle and to water the mealies. That's great. But why put it in every single school song?
Because, like, listen, so if that was an English thing, then the English people had to go there. They had to cause their own European little settlement because by that stage already, the Afrikaans guys had formed Emerald Casino and were driving their motorboats up and down the Vaal.
Yeah.
They had to go somewhere else.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a fact about the fact that every Afrikaans high school, and maybe even Potch girls, Potch boys didn't bother with that because we had a Latin school. Ours was Guardiamus because we were
So basically, that was a lie.
What?
Your school did not have a school song.
Well, we were English, but I'm saying the Afrikaans
you're
ones
saying
and
the
Potch
Afrikaans,
girls. I think they all mention the Mooi River in their school song. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and you can't find it out on the internet. You can't find the lyrics to school songs on the bloody internet.
Yeah, it's
And
a
they
cult.
all do.
It's a
They
cult.
all
It's a
do.
hidden thing.
Van die mooie rivier, as Lichtenberg hoorspel, over Volkskwil en een mooie rivier. Stop it. Just stop singing about the mooie rivier.
Speaking about mooi riviers, here's a very good-looking boy called River Phoenix.
There's a mooie rivier.
Hy's 'n mooi rivier. I apologize profusely. I apologize. Very unprofessional. No, River Phoenix, as you may know, was the brother of Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he was also an actor famous for Stand By Me, a couple of other films.
Mm-hmm.
My quick fact about River Phoenix, he died at 23 of a drug overdose. My quick fact about him, River Phoenix was not his original name. He was really born as River Bottom.
Okay. Now, am I getting things messed up? He wasn't in A River Runs Through It. Hey? He wasn't in.
No, that was
Brad
Brad
Pitt.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
a young Brad Pitt.
That was a very young, very
Okay.
good-looking Brad Pitt.
All right, and a Meryl Streep. Very good looking Meryl Streep. Man. Yeah. River Bottom, eh? Well, I do know also from a previous podcast where you said the Phoenix brothers, whatever their surname might have been, were in a weird cult.
They were in a cult. Their whole family.
River
They grew
Bottom,
up in a cult.
River Bottom. There's nothing. If it was Christian cult, River, Jordan River, some Christian families will continue the Jordan theme because of the River Jordan. But
well, I mean, so he's got a lot of siblings, and most of them have got a name relating to nature. I know he's got a sister called Summer and another one called Rain.
Right.
So most of them. Only Joaquin doesn't have a name related to something
nature.
natural. Yeah. What happened is that Joaquin was given a name when the family was staying in Puerto Rico, and he was given a Latin flavored name to echo that because he was born while they were staying in Puerto Rico. So his name is Joaquin Rafael, whereas the others all have these kind of nature names. And in fact, if you look up Joaquin Phoenix's early career, because he was doing movies in the 1980s at the same time as River
was
Phoenix,
he?
Yeah, but you won't find it. Because at the time he was
Jeez.
billing himself under a name he'd given himself, which was Leaf Phoenix. So in fact, he only goes back to Joaquin later on.
Oh, that is strange.
But yeah, so that's just strangeness about their first names.
I'm interested to hear more, but I will say that this fact sounds like a load of bollocks. There's no way his name was River Bottom. No ways. Bottom is the dude from Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's correct.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't River Bottom. No.
No. Again, it's true.
Oh,
Yeah, the
my
family-
gosh.
The family had been through hard times in the 1970s, and in 1979, their parents changed their surname to Phoenix to mean we're rising from the
Oh, nice.
ashes.
Okay.
And it was, in fact, bottom before. Because they were like, we're at the bottom now. Let's change our name. Let's have something more aspirational. And it must have worked, because at least 2 of the sons went on to go and become massive movie stars.
They were thinking of rock.
I mean,
rock bottom. That would have been a grey rock bottom. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nature name. Hey,
Yeah.
they could have easily done it. Although, to be fair, they really would have been playing into that whole "we're at the bottom" thing now. You know. Anyway, there we
Oh,
go. So
man.
it's absolutely
River.
true.
Well, it's multiple choice
It is,
time.
it is multiple choice
I
time.
love rivers so much, you know. Like I've said, I prefer. What did I say when we were discussing the difference between rivers and oceans? It's like rivers are scarier than oceans. You were like, "Are you nuts?"
No, you are
Rivers
mental.
are scarier than oceans because you can't see the bottom.
No, but you can't see the currents in the ocean either, and you definitely can't see the bottom of an ocean either.
Sure.
Like this is
know.
the whole thing is terrifying. There are
Well,
things living in the ocean.
Coral, when there's a nice, when the viz is good, in the ocean, you can see to the bottom and it's nice. Well, not the bottom. You see the coral, you can see stuff in the water, not in a river.
Have you been smoking
Frightening.
crack? There are many rivers you can see to the bottom of.
Right.
There are many rivers you can see to the bottom of.
River.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You just have to go to the higher end of the river rather than the lower end. It's the lower end once it's picked up all the mud and the silt and stuff that it's flowing. But listen,
really.
rivers very seldomly do unpredictable things, right? Like rivers behave in a predictable fashion.
Crazy
Whereas the
currents
ocean-
underneath
ocean
sometimes. Well, like
like it will swamp an entire country. Like think about the tsunami in 2000. What was it? 2003.
maybe my mother in wearing Bryes next to the Vaal River in V-Town scared the shit out of me as a kid. Like, don't go in there because these currents, they'll drag you underneath.
Well, I mean, some rivers do have currents.
Because the river, it's a moving thing.
So rivers do behave in very unconventional ways. Like the Mississippi River once, an earthquake in 1811 caused the Mississippi River, and this is 100% true, to run backwards from December 1811 to April 1812. That's true. Yeah, I'm not even testing you on that one. But yeah, so
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so these things do happen.
For how long? Like
December
5 minutes?
December 1811 to April 1812. So that's like 4 months. Yeah. So
That is some
rivers
crazy
do
shit.
Yeah, and listen, I mean there is
maybe it's like taking a plug out the bath. And then it's like, oh shit, the water starts flowing.
I think it's just because.
So maybe the earthquake was it just took a plug out the earth and then shit started flowing that way.
I don't know. But
That's
it
mad.
must have tipped the earth quite dramatically to make that happen. But there you are, yeah.
My multiple choice fact is about a fascinating river, a beautiful one, proudly African. It's the Congo River.
I've just.
You have another one.
No. So I made a mistake on that. So it wasn't the seismic activity was between December 1811 to April 12.
Yeah.
And it ran the wrong way for 3 days.
Okay. Well, that's still crazy. Thanks for clarifying that fact. We did some research, yeah.
Yeah, so I've just double checked
seismic
myself.
activity ran for
4 months. Seismic activity for 4 months led it to run backwards for 3 days. So I had to check myself there on that one. Check myself before I wrecked our podcast.
Oh, nice. The Congo River, proudly African. About my multiple choice fact. It's an incredible river. There's a book written by a British dude who lives in Cape Town called Blood River, and it's not about South Africa's Battle of Blood River. It's about the Congo River. And I highly recommend that book. It's really wonderful. This mad dude just decided he wants to see it. So he went there, got a canoe, and went along the Congo River at one point, hitched a ride with a UN sort of ferry type thing. But he went from somewhere near the source to somewhere near the end. And he wrote a book about it, and it talks a bit about the history, a bit and the geography as well. It's crazy. It's mad. There's parts of the Congo that people they don't know very well. It's just this great big equatorial, vast, crazy place. And the river is extraordinary. And some other little fun facts is the Hollywood movie, River Queen, was actually filmed on the Congo with Elizabeth Taylor and one of her husbands, the big one, well-known one.
No,
They married twice. Yeah, Richard, River Queen and that sort of thing. And this guy went there and he didn't see a lot of crocodiles. He saw like 2. That's interesting. That's just a fun fact. Another fun fact is, even though he saw 2, if you go to Gansbaai, there's a bench, and it's a memorial of a guy who went exploring in the Congo and was taken by a croc.
Huh.
Gansbaai. So they are still there, the crocs. He was in a canoe taken by a croc.
I've got a fact about a croc in a river. I'm just trying to remember the year now. Off the top of my head, I can't. But a Nile crocodile was once found swimming in the Seine in Paris.
Good God. Seriously?
Yeah.
Was it escaped from a zoo or something?
I don't know. I mean, the assumption is, I suppose, that classic New York, somebody had a baby crocodile and threw it into the sewers or something.
Yes.
That's the assumption. But, who knows?
Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So which of these facts about the River Congo, the Congo River, is not true? It's the second largest river in Africa. Second longest, let's be specific, second longest river in Africa. It's the third largest river in the world by discharge volume. Okay. Its basin is the size of France. Its river basin, where it kind of, yeah. And final fact, it's the deepest river in the world.
So it is the deepest river in the world.
Really? And you know this how?
Because that was going to be my multiple choice question. So it is the deepest river in the world.
Do you need a new multiple choice question?
I'll be ready. So it is the deepest river in the world. That's absolutely true. The basin is the size of France. I mean, yeah, it is. You were saying it's the second longest river in Africa.
Yes.
So here's a fact about it you didn't mention. It is the only river in Africa that crosses the equator twice.
That is a fact I didn't mention, and I did know that. Yes. Yes. Very nice fact.
All right. So what were the other two? It was also that its discharge is...
It makes it the third largest in the world by discharge volume, and its basin is the size of France.
So I know it's the deepest, and the France one is believable. The discharge per volume is an interesting one. And what was the fourth one?
Second longest.
Oh, the second longest
one. Yeah.
All right. So the discharge is quite an interesting one because I would think, when I think about it, that the Yangtze River might be the second largest. It might be the third largest by discharge in the world. Maybe it might even be the second largest though, because I know the Nile is long, but it might not have a very large discharge. Because the Yangtze is the second deepest river in the world, and it's the third longest river in the world after the Nile and the Amazon. So I wonder if the Yangtze maybe has more discharge than the Congo.
So
this is interesting. I'm
such an unfortunate phrase, the discharge volume. Scientists, please come up with a different phrase for that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our generation has entirely ruined the phrase discharge volume.
We ruined by the easy access to pornography. Please just change the word.
Just anything else. I mean,
output. Hey, output.
The scientist, the spunk factor. Oh no. So it is the only one I know. Which other one might be the second longest after the Nile? Certainly in terms of major rivers, it's got to be kind of the Congo. This is a minor one somewhere. But all right, let's say it's the second largest. Let's say the France thing is true.
You mean, so I asked, I
All right,
said one of these is
it's not
false.
the second longest. It's not the second longest. The
One of
discharge
these is
volume's
false.
right. The France one is right. The deepest one is right. It's not the second longest river in Africa.
Oh man, so close, man. Yeah, you're wrong. It is the France one.
Is it the France one? Okay.
Little Ryan Dickish technicality. It's not the size. The basin is not the size of France. It's the size of the European Union. The basin, the Congo Basin, is the size of the European Union. That's mad.
Yeah, that is mad.
Absolutely mad. Yeah, you're quite right. It's the Nile, then the Congo. Discharge, we're talking Amazon, we're talking Ganges,
okay,
then Congo. So the other one,
yeah, they're long, but they're
comes
not
in fourth.
They're not particularly gushy.
Maybe.
Hey, I've heard about oaks like that. They're very, very long, but they can't. They just dribble out the end. No, look what I've done. I've gone and ruined this whole podcast with the algorithm now. We're going to desperately need you to click like and subscribe now.
And, but depth frightened me. Absolutely frightened me. They've measured at a very deep point that it's 220 meters deep. A river. It's frightening. I don't know. See, I still feel there's a claustrophobia factor that goes in that. You know, you can't see 2 meters down, 3 meters down. I don't think in the Congo. Nah, this thing is 220 meters deep. It is utterly frightening. I think.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And the thing about it is that there are parts of it that they think may be even deeper. There are parts of it they haven't actually measured the depth on, but they think it might be.
The viz is bad here today, hey? It's that vibe, hey? Oh, it's the viz.
Can you imagine the catfish at the bottom of that bastard? Seriously.
I mean, in my research on the Moy River, there was a section that told you what fish species were available and got regularly caught. So if the Moy River's got like about 20 well-known fish things that you can catch, imagine the Congo.
Yeah. Fuck. All right. What I'm going to do is, because you stole my multiple choice.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. Whatever.
You go on.
Do what you want. I'll do one that's a similar kind of vein, which is which river do scientists believe is the longest continuously running river? So a river that's kind of sat on the same course or similar course for the longest time, right?
Period.
And I'm going to give you a couple of options: the River Jordan.
Ooh.
The River Tigris, the River Cano Cristales in Colombia, or the Finke River in Australia?
It's a great question. It's a great impromptu multiple choice. So, Jordan is just so ancient and significant. Tigris is actually Genesis vibes. It's mentioned in there. It makes you want to think it's.
So it's at least 6,000 years old.
The Colombian one, maybe we don't know enough about that. But Australia being this big fat landmass that was maybe least disturbed by stuff, makes you think that was up for grabs.
I suppose you got to think about where the plate tectonic edges are, right?
Yes.
Australia exists on its own plate tectonic plate.
Got its own thing, eh?
Yeah, so I suppose it wouldn't be influenced as much by cracking plate, I guess.
Yeah.
But I suppose the Middle East is right in the middle of a plate tectonic plate as well. It's not particularly influenced either.
Yeah. It's a fascinating question. I'm tempted to obviously go ancient because of Jordan and Tigris. I don't know much about the Colombian one, but I'm going to say maybe the Australian one is actually what they think the longest running river in terms of years back. How long has this river been running? I'm going to go Australian. What's it called?
You're 100% correct.
Oh, wow. What a guess.
It's thought to have been running in the same course for at least 300 million years.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I did actually hope you would go with Jordan or Tigris simply because I know you love your Bible and you've fallen for the actual human ancient as opposed to earthly ancient, but you didn't fall for it. The Cano Cristales is actually an interesting river. It's known as the River of Five Colors because at different times of the year, it's either yellow, green, blue, black, or red, depending on the different algae and sea plants that are in it at that particular point. So it runs in 5 different colors. Yeah.
My word.
Interesting river, yeah.
Ah, I do love rivers, and now we've come to the end. We've come to the mouth of the
Are
river.
you gonna
of this
cry me a
podcast.
river?
Yeah, there's rivers are so significant that they appear in art a lot. That's how important they are to the human psyche.
It's the whole water thing, Ryan. It's
Water. It's
why-
important. By the rivers of Babylon. Okay, but that's but then there's also
songs that have got the word river in them.
yeah,
There's a few, yeah.
when there's the lyrics. Knew you were waiting. It starts with, and the river was deep. I didn't falter. Yeah, love me rivers, man.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ryan. This is fantastic, and thank you for paying attention all the way to the end. Please do click like, subscribe,
We
and
need
share.
a rivers part 2. You know.
We desperately need more of you, wonderful people.
Yes.
Watching this thing in the near future, or Dietz is going to cut off our balls.
And this lady's looking ominously at us as well.
Yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for joining. Ciao.